Persons Eccojams Volume 1 Overview. Vaporwave is much less music and more of an experience. As such, I would not be doing the album justice if I only discussed one section of my experience, which is also the most boring part, the end of the journey. I'd rather take you on the trip with me. Therefore, I really wouldn't consider this a review, but a description of my experience with this album. I'll be going over my initial impressions, techniques used in the album, how it makes me feel, my opinion on the album art, and other things. Persons Eccojam Volume 1 is the very first album of a genre called Vaporwave. It was released by Daniel Lopatin under the pseudonym Chuck Person. He made the album during his free time, compiling a bunch of 80s music into a slowed down, chopped and skewered mess. He enjoyed doing this for some reason. When I first learned about Vaporwave, it was through Lisa Frank's 420, like many people. Intrigued by the artwork, the relaxing yet droning melody, and the sweet, sweet pitched down voice of Diana Ross, I began to look deeper into Vaporwave. This, of course, led me to Echo Jams. At the time, the only thing I knew about Vaporwave was the melodic voice and the sampled 80s music. When I first listened to Echo Jams, my ears felt like they were in heaven. The album had everything I loved about Macintosh Plus: loop music, pitched down voices, and that feeling of an eroding epoch. In conjunction with the out of context lyrics, the somber sounding voices, and the feeling of being alone due to heavy reverb, made for an emotional experience riddled with deep and subtle messages of melodramatic depression. I was hooked and I listened to it constantly. And the smoke and mirrors started to fade. WhoSampled.com was a big factor in the dissipation of illusion. This could have been due to the newness of Vaporwave to me, but Echo Gems had a sort of mystery to it. It's hard to explain, but when I first listened to it, it wasn't just loop music. The album was so much more. The deep intricacies of pitched down voices and lines on loop turned out to be just that. I'm not saying that Lopatin didn't have any deeper ideas when making the music. In execution, a 10-second loop of a song is a 10-second loop. After scratching the surface of the album clean off, it was time to dive deeper in, which is where Echo Jam truly gets to be the experimental genre it always wanted to be. I already mentioned a couple of techniques that are used in the album, but I'll reiterate once more just to get it out of the way. The album is composed of pop music, mainly 80s, that has been distorted heavily. Songs are loop samples of said music. They are chopped and skewered, skipped, added tone of reverb, and have pitched voices. It's almost as though the music is being played on a heavily damaged Walkman that is full of water and on low batteries. Some tracks have unique edits that are limited to their respective songs. For example, A8, Make You Mine, and Information not only have a section where the song sounds like the Walkman is getting thrown into a wood chipper, it has a moment of silence. Those 5 seconds of silence are chilling because it's the aftermath after a large wave of destructive noise. Those moments are also a breath of fresh air and relaxation as you're no longer being subjected to uncomfortable noises. By far, my favorite songs have to be the ones that simply have no distortion other than the sunken voice and slowed effects, such as B4 or Nobody. They are so simple, but something about their predictability and little noise going on in the background makes it easy to zone out to and dream as the song lingers in the background. I'll refer to these as echo jams. The best technique incorporated in the album, in my opinion, is the transitions from song to song. This is completely subjective, but the way one track cuts off and the other picks up instantly is really enjoyable for me. The way Lopatin did it was by adding the first instrumental beat of the next song in the last second of the current song. It had to be a part of the instrumental that was low. If a part of the beat was apexing or getting loud, then it would have resulted in a pop. This is also how you could make tracks loop on end seamlessly and naturally. Well, that sums up how he made the entire damn album. If I didn't like running my yap, surely this would be the end of the review. Anyway, the transitions are very simple, but it's surprising the effect that it has. When I first listened to the album, I didn't know where one track started and the other ended. Continuing with the trend of feeling and subjectivity, that's very important when it comes to vaporwave. As vaporwave is rooted in plunderphonics, that big word just means that music is derived of other music in layman's terms. Part of the goal of plunderphonics is to make the listener have a completely different experience from the original work. The first one, A1 or She's Waiting, does not give me the upbeat feeling or the cheesy 80s atmosphere I get when I listen to Africa by Toto, which is what A1 samples. Instead, I felt lonely and missing something I couldn't quite put my finger on. I'm uneased and somewhat lost in thought. But when I listen to Africa, I'm too focused on how I'm gonna sing the chorus at the top of my lungs and mumble the other lyrics. The album art, I believe, is a perfect reflection of what lies within. It's a Frankenstein's creation. There are multiple fonts being used, tiles are mismatched, and the E in echo on top is spewing out onto other tiles. Not to mention that the tile behind the echo on top is also peeling off. The echoes on each side aren't even aligned with each other or centered to the image. Some of the water detailing makes the cover look as though it's in bad condition and has suffered a few scratches. The art just screams, I found this in the garbage can at my local flea market. Let's check out what this bad boy is, because in 2010 everyone forgot what a cassette tape was because they were obsolete for over a decade by then. Anyway, the art style is very unique and personal to the album. Just as there is a lot of kitsch editing and mismatch in the album, there's a lot of poor photoshopping in the cover itself. Also, the pictures are just pre-existing images of Echo the Dolphin, just as all the music is of pre-existing songs. Both parts contort forms of art to create their own. Truly, plunderphonics at its best. Water seems to be a good theme with the album. It's something that comes to my mind when listening. It could be because I'm being conditioned by the cover art, but pictures of waterfalls crashing, marine life swimming, Echo the Dolphin flying in the air, these are just some of the things that come to my mind when I listen to the album. It really doesn't have that 90s computer art or that 80s Hotline Miami inspiration that would be the central theme with the art of the later Vaporwave albums. With that in mind, the art of the album and the album itself just stands out more amongst the entire Vaporwave genre. In an oversaturated genre of music, the one that started it all stands out amongst what it inspired. Remember when I was attempting to sound really pretentious and talking about the feeling of melodrama? Well, the pretentiousness is just a result of my zany personality, but I was serious about the feeling of a sort of melancholy mood. I forgot about this feeling, and it only came back to me when reading a review for the album in preparation to write my own. Lopiton's childhood wasn't bad, but he was a sad kid. If you take lines out of the album, you'll find that they have to deal a lot with the sense of longing and loneliness. Hurry, boy, she's waiting there for you. Angel, please don't go. There's nobody here. Let her go. That was one of the feelings I experienced, but I thought of it as silly. They were just lines taken out of context. Why would they give me a sort of despondent feeling? Hearing a slowed down Tupac saying, "It's me against the world," had me reaching into my bag and seeing what I could pull out. It sounds so ridiculous, honestly, but I think it exemplifies the effect of Lopatin and the complexity within his work. If I could summarize the feeling, it would be nostalgic. This is a very difficult feeling to understand. It's both joyful from the past experience, but a saddened desire of wanting to relive the past, but knowing that you can't. This is the section where I would begin talking about the themes of anti consumerism and the critique of our capitalistic society that is instilled through the techniques and composure of the album. The key word here is would. Alright, that's gonna do it for part one of my review. Join me next time and we're gonna discuss each individual song on the album.